one of the most common Islamic banking products called a Murabaha. So Murabaha refers to cost plus financing, where the buyer is aware of the cost price. Now, the scholars have mentioned now that there are 48 different methods or concepts under which an agreement can take place. So if Muhammad gives a pen to Yusuf, there could be 48 different ways or Sharia concepts under which that simple agreement or that simple action could have taken place. It could be, wadiya, it could be an amanat, it could be arahan, it could be, musharaka, mudaraba, it could be a murabaha, it could be a tawliya, it could be, musawama, it could be ta'ati. There are different concepts now in Sharia under which that simple action could have taken place. So one of them is murabaha, where a person purchases an item and reveals the cost price to the buyer. So murabaha is basically one of the most commonly used products in Islamic banking, where, for example, if you require financing for a shipment from China, for example, you don't have the finance, the bank would then pay the supplier and charge you a markup on that. That would be based on a murabaha. So in other words, this is actual trading. It's not a loan. It's not an interest. It's not an interest on a loan, because the bank is actually purchasing the product and selling it to you at a markup. So that is essentially a murabaha. We move over to the next slide. So this is an example of a murabaha where the customer needs to purchase goods. He doesn't have the capital. The bank then purchases the goods on behalf of the customer and sells it to the customer for a fixed markup over a term. Next slide. A financial model of how a murabaha would work is the customer approaches the bank to finance 100 tons of wheat. The bank will conduct its audit and then approves the facility. The supplier will invoice the bank and the bank will pay. The bank will then appoint an agent, which is generally the customer, to receive the goods, and the bank then sells the goods to the customer for a fixed markup over a term. So this is a snapshot of how a murabaha would work, in the sense that you would find that the supplier would supply the goods to the bank would then sell it on to the client, which is the bank's client, and then the client would eventually sell it to the buyer for a profit. This is a very clear diagram and an example of the difference between a conventional and Islamic bank. So on the conventional side, you can see it's amount financed. You have the interest rate, right, which can also be a floating rate. But on the Islamic banking side, it's a fixed purchase price, there are installments, and there is a selling price. So everything is fixed upfront.
Islamic finance learning made simple and memorable.